none to help us.
Hi, it's Miss Yetter again, and we are on Chapter 8 of The Worst Class Trip Ever, page 82, for those following along. We finally got to bed around 2 a.m., but I don't think anybody got much sleep. I definitely didn't. I kept thinking about Matt. When he was around, he was unbelievably annoying, but now that he wasn't around, I was really wishing that he was. I also wish that I'd been braver when the weird guys were in our room. At least Susanna tried to stand up to them. I didn't do anything. I just stood there and watched them shove him out the door. I kept seeing his face looking back at me. The other thing I was thinking about was our plan for getting him back. It was really mostly Susanna's plan. Her idea was that we should get Matt back. That was the most important thing. But also try to get video of the weird guys so we could give it to the police. We all agreed that we would definitely tell the police everything after we got Matt back, even if it meant getting in trouble and getting sent home. Whatever those guys were planning to do, we knew it couldn't be good. I guess I did finally fall asleep because suddenly I woke up and it was light outside and Cameron was yelling at me to wake up and I was going to miss breakfast. He and Victor were already heading out the door. I got dressed and ran downstairs to the dining room and got on the end of the line for the buffet, which featured scrambled eggs from like 1950. I wasn't hungry anyway. I sat at a table with Victor and Cameron and pretended to eat, but mainly I snuck peeks over at Susanna in the hot, popular area. She was wearing the Miami Heat parachute sack. I caught her eye once and she winked at me. Then she went back to being hot and popular. She looked totally amazing, not tired or stressed at all, like ho-hum. Just another normal day on the class trip instead of a day when she had to try to get our friend back from two weird kidnapper guys who, for all we know, were trying to blow up the White House. Our first problem was getting through the head count. They counted us whenever we got on the bus to make sure we were all there. If they noticed that Matt was gone, they'd want to know where he was, and we'd have a big problem, because if we told them what happened, they'd call the police, which was exactly what we wanted to avoid. The good news was the head count was usually done by Mr. Bardo, who is not the world's most organized person, which is why we thought our plan, which was really Susanna's plan, might work. What we did was, when we got on the bus, Cameron and I sat together in the fifth seat on the left side, and Susanna sat in the fifth seat on the right, across from us. Victor sat alone a few rows back. So Mr. Bardo came down the aisle counting heads. He counted me and Cameron, and then turned and counted Susanna, which was when she went into action. Mr. Bartow, she said, making her eyes all big and helpless, can you help me? I can't get the window open. Sure, he said, all manly. She got up, and he got into the seat and opened the window, which, of course, Susanna could have done. While Mr. Bardow's back was turned, Cameron slipped out of our seat and went back to sit with Victor. Mr. Bardo stood back up, and Susanna thanked him and flashed him a big Susanna smile. He said, "You're welcome," then went back to counting heads, which meant that he counted Cameron's head twice. So far, so good. Our bus parked in a long line of buses near the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, which is a giant stone building near a bunch of other giant stone buildings, which seems to be the main kind of buildings they have in Washington. It was a longish walk to the front entrance, and the weather was already hot, so we were pretty sweaty by the time we got inside. It was a little after 9 a.m., which meant we had less than an hour to escape from the class trip and get to the Boy Scout statue. The museum was pretty cool, I guess. It was huge inside, and there were life-size models of big animals like an elephant and a whale and some dinosaur skeletons, but I was too nervous to pay attention to the exhibits. I was keeping an eye on Susanna, who was slowly drifting back farther and farther from the front of the group, pretending to be fascinated by museum stuff we were passing. I drifted back with her, followed by Victor and Cameron, until we formed a little group in the back, falling farther and farther behind until we were the tail end of the class. I looked at my phone. It was 9:21. We had 39 minutes to get to the statue. Up ahead, the front of the group was going around a corner into a hallway. "Get ready," said Susanna. We slowed down, then stopped just before the corner. When the group was out of sight, we turned around and started walking fast towards the exit. In 2 minutes, we were walking out the entrance back into the heat. "Which way?" said Cameron. Victor had his phone out looking at a map. "This way," he said, pointing right. We all started running. I glanced at my phone. It was 9:24. We weren't going to have much time. Of course, Susanna was the fastest runner. She plays club soccer and she's really good, like she is at everything. Victor, Cameron, and I had a hard time keeping up with her. Also, the temperature was like 16,000 degrees. We ran past some more giant stone buildings and turned a couple of corners. And then Victor said, "We're almost there. It's across the street and up that way, where those trees are." He pointed to the right. I looked at my phone. "It's 9:42, I said. "We have 18 minutes. "Okay," said Susanna. She looked at me and said, "You're sure you don't want me to do it?" I shook my head. "We talked about this last night. They said the message was for me. If they see you, they might freak out." She nodded, but she wasn't happy. She actually wanted to be the one to go meet the weird guys. I definitely did not, but I didn't see how I could get out of it. Susanna took off the parachute bag and handed it to me. She looked at Victor and Cameron and held up her phone. "You guys ready?" They both said yeah and held up their phones. We all take video," she said, but we stay out of sight, and if anything bad happens, we call 911. They nodded. I tried not to throw up. "Okay, Wyatt," she said, "you go over first. Stand by the statue. We'll go down the street and come to the statue from the other direction. So when they see you, they won't see us, but we'll be watching you. Good luck." I just nodded because my mouth was too dry to talk. I went to the corner and waited for the light to change. I kind of hoped it never would, but it did. I took a deep breath, let it out, and started across the street.